What is going on, guys? My name is Bradley with DoublySports, bringing you a brand new episode of our Sleepers, Studs, and Stacks. And now, if you're new to the channel, welcome into the video. Thank you so much for hopping in and joining us today. If you've been here a while, thank you for sticking with us and coming back for another winning weekend. Good news, this video is packed with information that we normally give out on Patreon. A lot of really good information we've tried to put into one video. I think there's a lot of really good value plays. Secondly, another giveaway. Because we're all too stupid to realize we were supposed to take Devontae Adams and Tyler Lockett. We talked about it. We knew they were good plays, but no one picked it to be our top scorer of the week. So, what's the giveaway this week? It's another chance to win your Millionaire Maker ticket covered for free. That's right. I'm going to stipend you $20 via PayPal if you get it correct. What I need to know, what I need for you to do first is like this video before we even get into anything. Like this video and put in the comments below who your top scorer of the Sunday slate will be. That's right. I need the top score of the Sunday slate. One person who correctly guesses that will get the opportunity to win. Again, 18 and older, void where prohibited, no purchase necessary. Full contest details and rules down in the description below. So, like the video, comment with that, and let's get right into the success we had last week. I really am thankful for everyone that comes here each and every week, and I really do appreciate talking to you about fantasy football, what your plays are, what my plays are, and talking through situations. If you haven't realized it, I do try and put a lot of information in here. Sometimes it's considered too much, a lot of redundancy, some people said, but that doesn't matter. Why? Because we had some bangers of a lineup last week. Mr. Blaze won. Shout out to you. Put up 182 points with some minutes remaining last Sunday. Roland, he said, thanks for helping me understand DFS. Your Patreon is a gold mine. And he put up, I think that's 270 points. Roland, massive lineup. He left that comment over on Facebook, facebook.com/DoublySports. And the Patreon that he's referring to. Guys, if you want to go above and beyond in support of the channel, I want to give a little bit more in-depth analysis. I generate a player pool with some late bloomers, I give out betting lines, and I put out some possible lineups. I tell you my personal lineup that's going to play. Unfortunately, I didn't do as good as these guys. I put up 180, I believe is what it was this week. But I do put that information out there. So Roland, Rob, thank you so much for their support. And then Rodney, dropping it in the YouTube comments this week. He hit 214 on Draftkings. Way to go, Rodney. I know Rodney plays in a small pool with a bunch of his friends. And yes, the little guy crushes once again. Wasn't sure about our big five, but he stacked up some of his own favorite plays and made out a winner. Guys, it's 1 versus 150. So we got to start with those sleepers. And of course, we're always going to kick it off with a quarterback, and it's probably my favorite quarterback play of the week. Derek Carr at $5,500 going up against the Cleveland Browns. He has 21.1 points on average throughout the season, over 300 plus yards in 2 of the last 4 games, and has thrown for at least 2 touchdowns in every single game except one against the Carolina Panthers week 1, where we know all you need to do is run your running back against the Panthers. Cleveland is giving up the 3rd most passing touchdowns on the season with 16 total and 288 yards per game. So if we look at Derek Carr, and he's just his average self against a not great Cleveland defense, there's no reason he shouldn't put up 2 touchdowns and 300 yards, which is going to put us at a nice 20 to 24 point day, giving us 4 times that points per $1,000 spent. Next up, DeAndre Swift, $5,300 against the Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts have a fantastic defense, don't get me wrong. But I'm looking at usage in the passing game here. I think there's a lot of good sleepers in the running game, specifically in the wide receiver area. But if you want to pay down for a running back this week, DeAndre Swift at $5,300 is a good gamble. Myles Gaskin against $5,200. I know, another running back in a tough situation going up against a pretty stout defense. But they are allowing the 10th most receptions to running back in 2020, the 9th most receiving yards. So I expect Myles Gaskin to get good usage and nice checkdowns from Tua Tagovailoa. Tua. Running back Myles Gaskin, $5,200 against the Rams. Now you're gonna hear this wide receiver a lot this week. Maybe not this one specifically, but I think you're gonna hear a lot about the Las Vegas wide receivers opportunity. I've already mentioned Derek Carr. We've picked on Cleveland all year long. We picked on them last week with the Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals stack. Cleveland struggles on the big plays. The speedster, I think, could have some big splashes in this one. You really have to check for the health of all of the wide receivers there. Henry Ruggs, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Renfrow, Bryan Edwards. All of these guys could be in a nice position. Darren Waller as well. Josh Jacobs. The whole Las Vegas offense, I think, is going to be in a good position. Derek Carr gets rid of the ball so quickly, Cleveland's not going to have an opportunity to get that pass rush into him. I look for Las Vegas to have a big week. Rashard Higgins at $4,200 against Las Vegas. 6 receptions on 6 targets in Week 7 after OBJ went down. I think he's going to see similar involvement. I know they have another wide receiver that's coming back, but that looks like that's going to be wide receiver 3. Rashard Higgins was in there for every single snap after OBJ went down. I'm not saying Rashard Higgins is going to be the wide receiver 1, guys, but if he's seeing 6 targets and he's making 6 grabs again at $4,200, basically dirt cheap, that's another good opportunity. Deontay Harris from New Orleans, $3,300. Now, this one depends on a couple of things to work in our favor. Marquez Callaway, Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas were all down or all injured at some point during this Panthers game. Callaway came in quickly, commanded the field against the Panthers defense Week 7, and then went down with an injury. Depending on how that plays out, Traquan Smith and Deontay Harris could be the only 2 real pass-catching options that the Saints have. Obviously, Breeze is going to work with whatever he's dealt, but Deontay Harris is an absolute playmaker with the ball in his hands. If you've seen him return punts, you know just how dangerous he is. $3,300 against Chicago, a good pass defense, but the ball's got to go somewhere. At $3,300, 3 catches, 30 yards, that's 6 points, it's double his value, and there is touchdown upside with him having the ball in his hands and being able to make plays. Corey Davis, $5,100, probably my favorite wide receiver play of the week. Going against Cincinnati Bengals, and I mentioned it last week, guys. Before COVID outbreak and COVID-19 happened, in terms of the Tennessee Titans locker room, he was the wide receiver leader in targets and snap share. That involvement continued last week with 10 targets and a touchdown. A.J. Brown overshadowed him because he had a monster game. But don't forget, Corey Davis was there too. Cincinnati ranks 8th in reception yards allowed per game and over 2 touchdowns given up to wide receivers every week. Ryan Tannehill, Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith should be in line for a good game with the Bengals. Rush defense, so their defense in general is focused on shutting down the rush. That means attempting to shut down Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill should have plenty of opportunities to pass the ball. And our more to watch. And there's, again, more than usual down here because I think there is a lot of value at the wide receiver position for sleepers, value plays, people under $6,000. There is a lot of opportunity. Juju Smith-Schuster, $5,500 against Baltimore. Listen, at this point, I'm just going to keep picking him until I can't pick him anymore. T.Y. Hilton at $4,900 against Detroit. I feel like he's getting old. I mean that in the best way possible. I think T.Y. Hilton is still an absolute baller. But there's something not right this year. T.Y. Hilton at $4,900 against Detroit, a defense that struggled at times this year. They surprised me last week. I know it's a little weird to say. But they're not giving up the yardage that I assumed they would be giving up. So it'll be interesting how this one plays out. T.Y. Hilton, $4,900, worth a watch at least. Mecole Hardman, $4,700 against the New York Jets. I think, much like many people here think, the Chiefs are going to jump out to a massive lead. Maybe they shut down Tyreek Hill. I don't think it's the best play at $4,700. I think there's much better plays like the Las Vegas wide receivers. But Mecole Hardman could be worth a look in some of those bigger tournaments. Latavius Murray at $4,300 against Chicago. Listen, with all these wide receivers that are gone down for the Saints, Alvin Kamara is going to continue to catch the ball out of the backfield. Latavius Murray got some gold line looks against the Carolina Panthers. They were a bend, don't break kind of situation. Latavius Murray, I expect to get some goal line attempts. Jimmy Graham, $4,600 against New Orleans. They struggle over the middle, flat out. Jimmy Graham, one of the most popular targets for the Chicago Bears offense. I look for him to have a decent day against New Orleans, especially at that price point. He's cheaper than a couple of other guys that people are chasing, like Hunter Henry, Travis Kelce, etc. I think Jimmy Graham is going to be in a good position in this game. And Jonnu Smith, $4,100 against Cincinnati, considering locking him into my starting five this week. That starting five, again, comes out on Patreon for those that go above and beyond in support of the channel. Thank you so much for doing so. We give you that starting five in our player pool. A little bit of more information about what we feel is going to happen over the weekend. Weather reports, Bradley's best bets, a.k.a. my best bets, with our entire Doubly Sports team. So we'll get more into that later, and all these stats came from Pro Football Reference. And now, the studs. This is where last week we did have DeAndre Hopkins. We had Tyler Lockett. We had Davante Adams. We had them here, guys. Unfortunately, I'm too stupid to take my own brilliant mind and couldn't put together the perfect lineup like Roland did with 270 freaking points. Well done, Roland. Well done. All right, guys, again, we're always looking for 4 times the points per $1,000 spent. So if it's a $10,000 player, we want 40 points. No one's $10,000. We get that. But if you're spending $50,000 on your team and you're getting 200 points in return, you are going to cash every single week. So where's the magic going to strike this week? I think a lot of people are going to be on Derrick Henry at $8,000 versus Cincinnati Bengals. Like I said, this is going to be the obvious choice by a lot of people because there is such value at the wide receiver position. But the Bengals have not been terrible against the run. I think they have less than 4 rushing touchdowns given up on the season. That's not bad at all. Derrick Henry, I think, is still a very good choice because of the volume of targets he gets or the volume of handoffs that he gets. And really, he can break a big one against any defense. I don't care who he's going up against. Derrick Henry is always going to be a good play. Josh Jacobs, $6,200 against Cleveland. Again, another team that's been decent against the run, but they've given up 7 rushing touchdowns over 7 weeks and average at best against the running back that can actually catch out of the backfield. I believe they're 12th in the amount of yards given up, or 12th worst in amount of yards given up, and 10th in passes completed to running backs out of the backfield. Josh Jacobs, another pick for the Las Vegas Raiders, and I can't believe I'm saying that that might actually be the best stack of the week in my opinion. It is dirt cheap, just like the Chargers and the Bengals were last week. Davante Adams, $8,800. How can you not pick this man against the Minnesota Vikings? He is going to absolutely tear it up. The Vikings giving up 12 touchdowns to wide receivers on the year, most in the NFL. And I can't talk myself out of this pick. So maybe that just means I just need to go ahead and lock it in. One that I might be able to talk myself out of is DK Metcalf at $7,500 against San Francisco. I think everyone's going to be on Tyler Lockett. I almost called him TJ Lockett. Everyone's going to be on Tyler Lockett, in my opinion. He's the cheaper play this week. But I feel like every time that I want to go Tyler Lockett, it's DK that pops off. It's a very back and forth situation. At $7,500, San Francisco has seemed to give up more catches to some of the bigger wide receivers. They struggled against Chris Hogan earlier this year. Week 1, that was. But maybe it's something there against bigger wide receivers and tight ends against this San Francisco team. DK Metcalf at $7,500, another great, expensive, but great wide receiver play. A.J. Brown against Cincinnati. Listen, 21 plus Draftkings points in 3 straight games. You get that from any wide receiver, and you're going to want to chase that down. Averaging 8 targets, not as great. I would like to see that be double digits, but we know it's this Titans offense. You're not really going to see that amount of volume anywhere. But at 6,900 points against Cincinnati, a struggling Bengals defense against the pass, I like it. Why? Because Ryan Tannehill has 30-plus DraftKings points in 2 of the last 3 weeks. Coming off a bad game against Pittsburgh, I think it's a bounce back. For sure, a bounce back game. And within that same game, Tyler Boyd at $6,600 against Tennessee. Tennessee's not generating the amount of sacks that we thought they were going to give this year. I think Joe Burrow finally has one game to set his feet, look over the field, scan his options, and continue to build the rapport that he has with Tyler Boyd, A.J. Brown, and T. Higgins. Feel safe in the pocket and complete some passes. One person I did not mention on here, Keenan Allen. Okay? Keenan Allen. I want to make sure you're listening, guys. Keenan Allen is going to be a monster again this week. But more to watch. Alvin Kamara at $8,200 against Chicago. I mentioned that's a very good Chicago defense. I'm not sure how sold I am on this one. Aaron Rodgers, 7,600 against Minnesota. Talked about the lack of defense that Minnesota Vikings have this year. And Justin Herbert, $6,900 against the Denver Broncos. They have not been very good against the pass. The Broncos have a bad offense, which means more opportunities for the Chargers offense to get back onto the field. The Chargers defense is getting healthy, create turnovers, short field, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry. I expect all of them have a really good week. Don't know what running back I'm going to be choosing, Joshua Kelly or Justin Jackson, but Justin Herbert at $6,900 against Denver. I'm looking at him to have a 24 to 25, 26 point game and get 4 times or 3.5 times my value back. All right, it's our stacks and our defenses of the week. The stacks are smaller player builds that I think is a really good foundation. It's going to set you up at a good price point for you to go out and get those Devontae Adams, DKs, the Tyler Lockett's, the Derrick Henrys of the world, okay? Las Vegas Raiders against the Cleveland Browns, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, I mentioned both of them earlier, and then depending on the wide receiver situation. At the moment, I'm leaning Henry Ruggs. But if Bryan Edwards is healthy, that's going to eat into his inventory a little bit, so it depends on how that plays out, but I love Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs at this moment. Possibly Darren Waller. Tennessee Titans against Cincinnati Bengals, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Corey Davis, or if you want to go with the mainstream, A.J. Brown is certainly going to be a popular and successful pick, as well as Jonnu Smith at the tight end position. Again, a little bit cheaper than a lot of the options out there for tight end. Jonnu should find his way into the red zone against the Bengals. Lastly, the LA Chargers against Denver Broncos. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry. Just repeating myself from the last slide. Don't know what running back I'm going to be going with. Don't know if I need to have a running back in this one. Herbert should be able to find plenty of weapons. I think he hit 3 different tight ends last week. Unfortunately, neither were Hunter Henry in the end zone. But we look for him to get back on track this week. Defenses. I'm going to give you 2 expensive ones, which are the obvious. The Chiefs against the Jets. Chiefs getting a lot of pressure. They struggle in the long passing game at times. I don't expect Sam Darnold to have that much time. If Mekhi Becton's still out, I don't know, but I feel like the Chiefs are going to get a lot of pressure. At $4,500, it's a little expensive. Maybe you want to pivot down to the LA Chargers. As I mentioned, they've gotten a lot of weapons back on that defensive line. Ingram's getting healthy. I think they're going to generate a lot of pressure in the Denver quarterback's face. Could lead over to some turnovers. I would love to see that. Might depend on the weather in that game. And lastly, the Green Bay Packers against the Minnesota Vikings. At $2,900, it's a very cheap defense, but the Packers are generating a decent amount of pressure. I think if you can disrupt Kirk Cousins, and if Dalvin Cook is still out, I don't think Kirk Cousins can win you the game. You put him in a position where he has to force the ball down the field. That worries me, right? Like, that worries all of us. We know Kirk Cousins is an elite. He's won, one game? You like that, son? We all remember that one. I don't think he has it in him to do that week in, week out. In division game, give me the Packers, $2,900 to shut down the Minnesota Vikings. But if you want to talk more, please drop it in the comments below. Make sure you also put in your player of the week. Let me know who is going to be the top scoring player from Sunday's slate for a chance to win that $20 for a Millionaire Maker ticket into the Draftkings tournaments. If you don't want to talk here, that's fine. Connect with me on Twitter at Brad M. Lee or on Instagram, Doubly. You can see what's going on in my personal life. If you want to talk with the rest of the team, find us on Twitter, DoublySports, Facebook.com/DoublySports, Twitch.tv/DoublySports. I've mentioned it all year. Maybe when it gets closer to the end of the season, we're going to be doing some live streams. We'll probably help out with some fantasy football drafts next year. I love fantasy football even more than DFS, so I would love to talk to you over there. And patreon.com/DoublySports for those who want to go above and beyond in support of the channel. We greatly appreciate it. To say thank you for that, we want to give you access to our weekly starting 5, our late bloomers report. Again, my best bets that are coming out there. We do a weather report. We do a lot of information, as Roland can attest with his 270-point lineup. We do a lot of information over there, probably more than you need to know. I think I give myself so much information sometimes that I kind of go against my initial instincts. Like I said, I thought everyone was going to be on DeAndre Hopkins, I thought everyone was going to be on Devontae Adams. I was like, you know what? I'll pivot. I'm going to go after DeAndre Hopkins. I think the ankle injury is scaring a lot of people away. Let me be a little bit different. And of course, it's a 25-point swing, and I look like an idiot. But you know what? We live, we learn, we fight to have another day. it's going down. Patreon.com/DoublySports. We'll put that out on Friday this week. And then our starting 5 and player pool will come out for free on Facebook, facebook.com/DoublySports. Sunday morning, about an hour before kickoff, we'll be doing it. So thank you so much for giving a big old thumbs up to this video. Like it for good luck. It does enhance your chances of cashing this week on Draftkings. That's all I got to say. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully the next time that I see you is down in the comment section and cashing in the green.